Okie dokie. All right, well, welcome everyone. Everyone knows each other, right? Rob, you know, Brandy and Emma and me and
Yep.
right. Everyone. Okay, good. All right, fantastic. Okay, great. Any comments from our last meeting at all? I'm not sure. I guess one thing I suppose, since Paige isn't here, is would somebody be willing to take notes for the meeting tonight, or we can keep up? Oh, good, Betty's on joining us.
I can take them right in the agenda if that
Okay,
works.
fantastic. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, Betty.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right. Any comments or anything from our last meeting at all? Okay. Moving onward, shall we talk about the timeline of events? The one thing, or I guess would add, does anyone want to add anything to the agenda at all that we need to add on here before we move forward? If folks have an opportunity to look at the agenda. One thing that I feel like needs to be added on there is, I don't know, maybe you have it on there, I'm just missing it, what the dates are of the home TV showing of the Harris Nature Center plant class. So
I don't have those dates, but I can add them here right now. If anybody has them off the top of their head.
I do. I mean, Sam's actually putting graphics on now. Our intern recorded and edited the multi-camera directions and the PowerPoint together. So it is like 2 hours, so it will take a minute to export in order to get it anywhere. So she's adding the final touches, reading, watching to make sure the edit is clean from the intern. And then we'll be uploading that to YouTube and programming it for 2 weeks. And we'll share the link when it's ready by probably tomorrow morning, since the export time and the upload time takes a while. We'll send you the link and we will share it on social media. And it will only air for 2 weeks as per the instructor. So it will air, let's say tomorrow, April 6th through we'll say the 20th, April 20th.
okay, fantastic. Okay, good. All right, thank you for all your work on that. That's fantastic. I think it's a great opportunity, because I know that class sold out pretty quickly, so that's really great.
Yes. And then can I add one more thing? I
Sure.
mentioned that I wasn't at the last meeting, but the meeting before, I do have an open space in the lobby, the bulletin board area. I don't know what you would like it to look like, or what, maybe we modify the brochure. So any direction on what should be out in the lobby as like a display for the wetland campaign. And then at some point I can give you an update on the Meridian Magazine, because you guys have a whole spread. You have a section for wetlands.
How exciting. Wow, fantastic. Right, yeah, so we can add, I mean, do you want to just add that onto the agenda, talk about that, Brandy, about the display area there?
Whatever you want to do, you can put it on the agenda and then let me know when it's a good time to say anything.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, I can add it on at the end if you want, if that works.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. All right, well then, or maybe, so I wanted to talk about the April 27th gardening for wetland edges, and that's the event that Wild Ones is doing, right, Rob and Betty?
Yes.
Any,
He probably knows more about that than me.
yeah.
I doubt I know more about anything than you, Bob. What are we talking about?
Are you talking about the Eric Elgin?
The 22nd, April 22nd program.
Oh,
It's a
I thought it was
27th.
the 27th.
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't know.
I guess if you just want to or you already, it's right on the Wild Ones website, correct, Betty? It's kind of right when you bring up the Wild Ones.
Yep.
Okay, because that's something we can kind of forward or promote from there.
And people do need to pre-register for it, but it's free.
I'll add that to our list of wetland cross promotion opportunities for township social media.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. And thank you for coordinating that, Betty. That's really, it's a lovely compliment to what we have going on here. So.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm excited. I think it'll be great. I've heard him speak before. He's really good speaker. He's very knowledgeable.
Good, fantastic. Okay. All righty. Emma, do you want to take over the timeline here and talk a little bit about some of I know that we have the Harris Nature Center plant sale. I mean, we got the class coming out and then the online orders. Is there anything to say about that other than, that's the date that we have on the calendar?
Yeah, not really. I just wanted to put that online orders due date in there. But of course you can still order after that. And then as far as, so we've got a wetland walk this week. We already have a really good group of people signed up. I haven't gotten through all the RSVP emails this morning, but it's probably going to be around 20 people. And then I just wanted to add the vernal pool field trainings. Those aren't open to the public because you have to go through the vernal pool patrol program. That's, not if people reach out to me, of course, I can set something up, but I just wanted everyone to be aware that our vernal pool patrol is also going on right now. And I've gotten a lot more volunteers signed up this year. And that's, of course, we're a partner program for that. So it is a state-run program that we help kind of usher through, and we provide monitoring kits. And so that's cool because vernal pools are a really important part of our wetland system and very unique and a good way to get people involved in wetlands. And then we have an Earth Day cleanup. We've been doing trash pickups as part of our Weekday Warriors. That's a new program that I started experimenting with the MCC, where we go out during the weekday. And so there's a lot of trash making itself known right now after everything's melted. So we picked up just about 100 pounds right off the road on Okemos, right in that wetland area, where it's just lots of car parts, lots of accidents, and potholes have been hit through there.
Not a good sign.
So yeah, so we've already cleaned up a lot in there, and then I've added a new date to that April 22nd time slot. Some people were hoping for an after work time, and so I've added 4:30 to 6:30, and I updated that on the April wetland flyer, and I just sent everyone that updated flyer.
Emma,
So
will
I
you-
haven't posted it everywhere because I just fixed it today.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you want me to change that on the website, or do you want to add a second day? Like what I normally do for like border review, when they have a morning time and an afternoon, I do 2 events.
Separately on the calendar.
Yeah, you could just like
Okay,
copy it and then change the time, and in the description for both, I always say all the time slots, so that if they
Okay,
saw one of them
perfect.
and not the other. And then on this one, it still says to be determined on location, so that's going to be changed to Nancy Moore. Or I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and I can change that too right after the meeting here if you, and then add the time on and just make sure the location is, yeah, I've
Yep.
got a few website updates to make right after this. So
Well, let me
Yeah.
know if you need anything for that, Emma.
thank you, I appreciate it, but it is easier to just make a separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just make a copy, and then, like I said, just change the time so that there's 2 separate times listed on the calendar.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and then I think that pretty much brings us up to speed with just the events right now. I've been getting a lot of good turnout. A lot of people are coming out for these, so that's good.
You mentioned Earth Week cleanup. We got a couple of emails from a Girl Scout troop, and I don't know if we want to try and coordinate it all, but obviously there's a lot of media attention on Earth Week.
Love Park Day is that week too. I just put the final touches on the press release. Thank you for all your help, Emma.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally all got to come together. Everybody's been on vacation at different times, so it's been kind of hard. But yeah, so that is April 20th, Love a Park Day is. And so I guess I'm happy to promote those other events to the MCC. I just have so much going on already. I don't think I can really take on any other coordination of anything. So I
Leroy?
can definitely pass those on.
Leroy, the scouts, so what were they looking to do their own thing, or did they want to sign up under Love a Park Day or something? I just added it to the website and the press release is going out today.
They just asked us for what are some spots in the township, and I guess they've got 3 possible groups and 3 dates lined up. I just posed the question about, do we want to try and co-promote or create sort of a regional calendar of other things going on Earth Day, or just focus on our own stuff? And
I mean,
I
if
think-
they're gonna do it in the township, typically Jane Greenway sometimes works with groups like that, and they'll like email us like, hey, they're coming out this day. We take some pictures and then share it. But other than that, if it's not our own thing, I think we need to stay focused on what it is we're promoting, especially in terms of wetlands and cleaning up and native planning and that kind of thing. Especially for this, I mean, we can still cross promote later for other things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because I've been to a few of the events with Emma, and boy, getting the extra numbers of people and people being, engaged, and she has all these folks asking her questions afterwards and all of that kind of stuff. So it's good. Whatever all these different means are, it seems to be helping with the numbers, right? For sure, getting extra numbers. So I think we've got a lot going on. So I think that's a good way. And maybe those Girl Scouts, if they want to do their separate thing, or if they want to join one of the events that's already happening, then maybe it's a simpler way to do that.
that
Yeah, and I
sounds-
can definitely forward that information for Earth Week for the MCC, just to say, I mean, if they want people joining them, I guess I haven't really looked close enough to see if they want public to join them. Because I can always say like, hey, these people are, here's their sign up. And if you're interested, and that kind of helps too. And then it gets my volunteers out on days that work for them. Maybe they can't make the Friday cleanup or whatever. So.
Okay, and thanks for the suggestion to talk to Jane. Yeah, there are 3 spots in the township, maybe 4. So I just want to bring it up as a possible thing that might overlap with some of the things we're already doing. I will forward her sign up sheet just so you have a little bit more about idea what they're planning on doing. And yeah, Niall on our staff mentioned that there's an area where they're doing the MSU to Lake Lansing Trail that has just a lot of trash over behind 2900 Place. And I don't know if they're going to take that on, but anyway, I just mentioning it. So
That's great, though. I honestly should send out an all employees email, just having people send me areas that need trash pickup, because I'm more than happy to have other eyes out there and, seeing. I always ask the parks grounds crew because they're out mowing and they kind of see all that. But yeah, as many areas as we can get on a list would be good.
At one point in time, we talked about, it doesn't have to talk about here, but we're talking about having folks adopt like a wetland or adopt areas of the township. And maybe that's an idea what we can have people do. And that's something the Girl Scouts could get involved in, or different areas of the township. We have, it literally says in the code, we're supposed to do a thing called adopt a wetland, so at some point in time, I think, let's get through these events here and then, consider doing that maybe summerish or something like that. How's that sound?
That sounds good. We're hitting build back the buffer really well on social campaign, but we could do adopt a wetland, transition that later.
Well, and maybe that's where
Yep.
Wetland Watch will come in and make
Yeah.
itself known. No, but yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Okay. Anything else on events? Okay.
Can you bring me up to date on Wetland Watch? I guess I'm not sure. Is that
Oh,
something?
It's not anything yet.
Oh,
There's
okay.
been a few programs that have been in the works since I started the MCC, and they've got put on the back burner because some, like our native plant program takes up such a large space. And so one of them was called Waterways Watch, but we've thrown around the idea of, now that we have this wetland program, of melding it more into a Wetland Watch program. And so like Kendra's saying, where people could adopt a wetland, so that could be part of the basis of that program, is that people are kind of watching over them and taking care of them and that sort of thing. So it's not really anything yet, but it could be.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
Okay, anything else for native plant guide? Emma?
Hey, Emma, for the native plant guide, looks so much better in Canva. I'm glad we talked, but I know it's a lot of work.
It looks 100 times better. And that's why I had it on the agenda, because I just want to bring everyone up to speed. The content is, as far as the plant list, is really going to be, you know, that's already done and solidified. There's other content such as, you know, ecosystem services that our native plant provide, things to answer people's questions, like a definition list, you know, what's stratification, what does that kind of stuff mean? But the idea is to be able to add on, you know, right now we have grasses in our list, but also shrubs and trees. And so when we talked, we were thinking like Canva is so much more visually pleasing. And so we're gonna just put a hold on, you know, that plant guide was gonna go out the end of this week. But I think like we're working so hard on this, we gotta do it right and just release it the best way possible. And so we're gonna take a little more time on that and convert it over to a different format. And it is gonna take time, but I just feel like if we're already doing this, you know, we should, you know, and even I think I sent you just a few pages of what it looks like, but the edge says wildflowers, and that can say trees, shrubs, and be more of what we're talking about as a guide for people. And so it can be even more like color coded or something. I don't know. I just, I do think it looks 100 times better. So
Poor Emma, I talked to her on Friday and I said, what is the goal with the guide? And she told me, and I said, why aren't we doing it in Canva? Because then we can make it more interactive and it'll look way better on the website. And if we ever wanted to professionally print it, it could be like a booklet, like a magazine. It's just way easier than Word, and PDF is really hard to design in. And so Emma's like, you're right. And I said, I'm so sorry, because I know it's a lot of work. And
it's okay.
Emma's looking for more work to do, so there.
But in the long run, when communications can get their hands on this, once the content is right, we can really streamline the design. And Emma, what you started is great. It'll be really easy for
Good.
Andrea and I to get in there and like kind of just tweak some formatting. So I didn't respond to your email, but I want to tell you in person, it looks fantastic. We can do the minor changes. It's so much easier to collaborate in Canva. And
Yes.
then later we wanted to make it, I mentioned the flip book. There's a flip book that we have that we can do an interactive where like they hover and it'll pop up and the list of information, and it's just way more interactive. And there's an ADA component to Flipbook. So when we embed it on the web page, it's ADA and anyone can hover and it will read it and that kind of thing. So there's just more to it, but Canva's a better start than a PDF.
Yes, we do want to be able to print some copies, you know, and that's not the main goal. Of course, our main goal is always paperless. But this way we can do that, like you're saying, that really easy interactive if you're looking on your phone or your computer, and then still be able to print it nicely. So as far as right now, is it okay if I just keep adding those plants and everything? And right now the formatting's good enough where you can just go,
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
cool. Because I'll just, when I watch TV at night, I'll just add them.
Keep going. It'll be way easier to fix in Canva when you're done.
Cool. Yeah, so if you do get a chance to look at the new design, for sure, it looks way better. And so we, like I said, no, we shouldn't rush this. We should just do it right. And we'll get it done as quickly as we can and get it out to people for spring. So I'm imagining like, I don't know, a few weeks or so, but I'll definitely be working hard on it. So still send me your input, and I will be able to send you out the additional information I'm putting in, but like I said, the additional information is just covering things like what our native plants do, simple definitions. We're going to add, in this email, I included a list of wetland plants and their zones. So Rebecca's really digging into how wetland buffers are broken up as far as planting. I mean, because obviously wetlands have very different variations of their landscape. And some of them are going to be right in the water and be wet all the time. Some are going to be more upland. And so these are all those really nitty gritty details that we're trying to work out to get into some of these plans as we move forward. So we will get a succinct version of the plant guide out. And then the nice thing is we can continue to add to it, and Canva will make that even easier. So everything is good. We're just going to be set back on that. So please send any information or input you want, just email it to me or whatever. And all that good stuff.
I think Bob said he had some sample wetland buffer designs. I don't know if
That's
that's the
great.
kind of thing you're looking for.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
I do have-
absolutely.
they may help, they may not, I don't know, but there's something that would at least help you add it into the, with Canvas,
Yes.
don't the hummingbirds fly in Canvas too, once you get that all together?
They better be able to do
I
backflips.
think they do. That's what I was told.
I can animate some animals on it if you want.
Here we go. The bats
Yeah.
can fly too.
Get some tree swallows in there. No, I really like, I appreciate all the hard work you're doing on this, Emma, and everyone on this, but like, I know it's tedious, but it's going to be so fantastic. And having the sample plans, like we've been talking about, like, I'm not sure which one, Rob's referring to here, if that's different than the ones you've been talking about before. Like we had the ones through Audubon and through Kalamazoo something or other, can't remember the ones that Betty
Kalamazoo
shared.
Nature
Yeah,
Center.
so can we decide like which one of those sample plans that we want and have those on the website too, or is that?
Well,
how's
and
it gonna work?
what it's coming down to is that the reason right now we're just in a mode where we're just gathering as much information. So looking at all those sample plans, and then are we just going to come up with our own that also fit our wetland plant list too? And so I'm not sure if we're going to use one of those plans. Right now we're thinking of if we can make our own. I really like how we've started getting into it, and it's I don't know if those other plans talk about the different wetland zones, the buffer zones, but that's something I really like. I like how that's broken up. So I'm just kind of starting to see certain things that I'm like, I want to pull this in, I want to pull this in. So I think it might be where we might end up making our own. I'm not sure though. So
Okay.
I guess just keep sending me information, and then before we actually go through with anything, we'll pass it by everyone, of course. And then, we do have an Eagle Scout working on one of our demonstration projects, and him and I are going to be digging into that. So I think it's all just going to be a work in progress right now. And I do think it's worth it. When I went out to Chuck and Renee's place on Friday, he said something to me, and I was so happy because he said, "Oh, you have one list to send me, because I've gotten like 20 lists and 20 resources, and I have no idea where to start." And so that's exactly what the goal of this is. We're not reinventing the wheel. We know that it's out there, but we're just trying to get it into one place where we can send someone that one thing. And because that's what he told me. He's like, I just want someone to send me one thing that I can go off of, because it's very confusing and overwhelming. So I think just trying to think of that too. moving
Emma?
forward.
For the zones, that's really interesting. I could see me breaking that up with sample, like you said, sample designs and zones on the webpage, because I myself, I don't even know where I live in Holt. I don't live in the township, but I have flooding in my backyard that my dogs, like, I just have mud everywhere. And I'm like, this is why I need to plant some native plants. I don't know where to start. So eventually I'm thinking what I'm hearing you is saying, like, zone 1, you do this, and zone 2, and then you
Yes.
build your buffer that way. So
Absolutely.
I'm envisioning like me as a novice at home with a flooded backyard, be like, I need zone 1 plants right here.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly. That's what we're totally going for because, and we know that the zones are going to change depending on the year. I mean, right now, and we're getting a lot of rain and I'll add you to the list of township employees who's asked me to help them with their yard because Luann said the same thing. So yeah, I'm definitely envisioning, you know, is your yard, and we could even try to use easy descriptive words like, is your yard squishy for most of the year? Is it mostly dry? You know, is this part of your yard mostly dry? And we could even break up the zones that way to just have, like, we know that wetland delineation is complicated and it's not easy, but can we give people a, you know, a good guess of what plants would work somewhere based on what their yard looks like for most of the year? I think that's kind of what I'm going for at least. So yeah.
And
And I'm
we
sure
might,
you have it, I'm sure you have it in there, but you know, the fact that many of the zones change, you know,
Yes,
because
right.
some people see them in the spring and then they think that that's like that all the rest of the year. And so, even if
Yes.
it's just a little thing, but so that they're aware that there are changes.
Yes,
I was explaining that
absolutely.
to someone the other day and they were just, it was like a whole new world to them.
Yeah. I know, and that's what's kind of difficult about this and why it's great to kind of attack this from the wetland side of things first, because it is really complicated, like you're saying, and it does change all year and it changes from year to year even. And so I think being able to have at least some kind of guesstimate or guide for people and really explaining that, you know, don't base this off of springtime, don't base it off of fall time and all those things. So hoping to encompass everything.
That's fantastic, Emma. Thank you for all your hard work. I mean, I like that you're coming up with your own, and this is a opportunity for that. So it's fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
it might be interesting. It might be interesting to just think a little bit about the target audience. You know, who are we trying to appeal to? What are we trying to get them to do? Because in some cases, it might be just, you know, plant a pollinator garden or plant a tree. And that might sort of hooking people into the whole ecological landscaping movement one step at a time, not making it too overwhelming. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm just, there's lots of people that can be drawn to this for various reasons. And most people are not going to be conscious of buffers. I know we want them to be more conscious, but
Right, because remembering that this guide is the purpose of this guide is really for our Planting a Native Meridian program. And so you're totally right, like being able, you know, eventually being able to have a plan for all different types of yard issues, or if you do just want to put something nice into your garden. But Rebecca and I are at least trying to keep track of some very simple lists of good, you know, drought tolerant plants or good rain garden plants, you know, so kind of trying to keep a simple list of, you know, because some people, like Chuck said, he's like, I just want you to tell me like 10 plants I could put in this one area, you know. So again, try, like you're saying, Leroy, trying to make it, you know, simple enough for people to address whatever, you know, they're trying to address, I guess.
Very true. Okay, fantastic. Okay, anything else on this? All right, let's move on to the wetland letter. So I think what we're talking about in relationship to that is, you know, just kind of those simple do's and don'ts for contractors to know. And so I might throw that one over to Rob. Rob, do you have an opportunity?
I'm sorry, I just haven't been able to, I was going to say I haven't been able to read much the last few days, but I got one more grant proposal that's got to get out this week. So I've been concentrating on those, but I did look at it. I guess, I don't know. I guess it would be good if it was, I was thinking if it was one page. You got to remember the framework that contractors are in right now. They are swamped. They have half the labor that they need to get these jobs done. A group of them I talked to yesterday, they are booked not only for this year, but they are booked for next year. And so I think if you send them too much, well, actually a lot of stuff they get from here on out, they just throw in a pile until about July. Then they may shuffle through some of it. And then they get their little other surge. depending on whether we're having a drought or we're not having a drought. And then they go back into try to finishing before the snow flies. So that's where they're at now. The Home and Garden Show actually kicked off their season. And so I'm thinking if there's something that goes out, the more concise that it could be from a standpoint of making sure that they're aware that there are ordinances, there are regulations, and then maybe a couple things to make them think about, what should be done. I love the do's and don'ts part that was in there, but I'm a little concerned that as soon as they see do's and don'ts, then it goes into the trash can. And I'm being honest with you guys because I know the contractors well. So I think, if we can get something in there that's if we can keep it to one page where they open it up and they see what it is, and then someone will say, oh, wetlands, boom, it's gone. Others will read through it and see what someone's saying. But and others, it's a really mixed group, okay? The turf grass people are concerned about turf. Do they have enough people to mow? And if you can hit certain little things like, the fertilizer part, maybe something about, I don't know, I was trying to talk to one of them about, doing spring cleanups, because that's what they're doing right now. And they said, I don't have time to worry about whether there's woolly bear caterpillars in the leaves. I got to get the leaves up off the grass so that people can mow, so I'm just trying to, we have to ease into it a little bit. You got a few scattered ones that fully understand, and many of them fully understand, but they have to make money is what they tell me. And they don't have enough people to do it. So they move right along. They don't have time. One of them said, I don't have time for new programs. Now, I'm not sure what that person meant, but anyway, so I'm going to shut up and say 1 page type of thing would be good to let them know. We can give them more in the fall when they start to, taper off and they can digest the letter a little bit better, I think.
So what language would work? Because basically, I can understand people don't like a do's and a don'ts thing, but how do we just educate them about the ordinance is? Like, they just need to keep the fertilizer, like, what would be the best language then? Like,
I guess it would be just, I think I would just say something that makes them aware of it. Because they may only get to that first paragraph. And as long as that's in there, that's good. And then I would say, Meridian Township has these programs, and you've got all kinds of programs. And then, go to the website and look at this when you get a chance or whatever.
Yeah, I think those are great points. And I think that maybe we should open it because I'm thinking of this as a simple guide that they could keep even in their work truck or whatever, of just, opening it up as when you're working in Meridian Township, this is what you need to remember. Because as someone who has my applicator license and I'm spraying herbicide, it's very, you have to make sure that you are understanding locally what you need to be doing. And the fact that too, a lot of residents here are really watching as well. And so maybe just opening up the letter saying that, this is what you need to know when you're working here. And then we can add that information at the end saying, if you want to find out more about our programs, but more coming from it as a professional standpoint of, if you're spraying, if you're applying or whatever you're doing in Meridian Township, you have to follow these rules. And it's kind of point blank. That's what you have to do. And when you're handling chemicals. So I think maybe, I don't know, personally, that might be able to get attention better than, these are the nice, great programs we want, these are things you should be looking out for. Right. And yeah, a lot of those guys, I've worked in that field a long time, and they're not going to take time for some of those small things. So I think just saying, like, you have to follow this when you work here kind of thing, not coming off aggressive, just, this is how it goes. So, and
again, it's, they are very dependent on the time of year. So like, if anything they get now, like I say, I've seen their mail on their desk, and they have stuff piled up from April, and then in September, they're starting to shuffle through some of it.
Maybe this is not the best time to be sending the letter. Maybe we should be thinking about this in the fall. And then maybe our letter is more directed towards the public about, we talk about natural landscaping and what questions to ask your lawn company, things like that. I'm just thinking out loud, but
I'm just thinking, I understand that, but if we want, this is the ordinance, right? So how do we need to educate them. So if we wait till fall, I mean, that's like, how many 15 chemical treatments that are going to be going in those buffers, by that time, right? I mean, I don't know how many, but like, I had a neighbor that in my last neighborhood that was doing, two different treatments, every 3 weeks. So, so what would work? I mean, like this is, how do you get it out there?
It sounds like Emma has some good ideas about how to do it.
Mhm.
It's terrible, Emma, when you know how to do something, because everyone will say, well, then you should do it.
Yeah, actually, I don't know how to write a letter. No.
Now, Emma.
Well, to let them know what the
No.
ordinance is,
But I guess my thinking too is that, and Rob, you're hitting it on the nail though, and this is the honesty we need is, and me coming from some more of that contract work, I agree and I understand, and it might get piled, but I think if we do want to send something out and like I said, be more as a guide to that person, if they, I mean, personally, I just feel like when I came from the place I came from before and I started working Meridian Township, I was like, whoa, like people know what's up. They are watching me. They are asking me if I move a stick. Like they're on top of it. So I really have to know my stuff. So if they are a contractor working in the township, they might actually appreciate that letter and knowing, and really the biggest thing we want to get out there is you better not be spraying in that 20-foot vegetation buffer. And if they don't know what that buffer is, we could include that. I like that little picture info thing we had in the letter to the residents that shows the wetland and the buffer. And at the end of the day, if they're like, I didn't know what that 20-foot buffer looked like, that's fine. But, we made them aware that if they're by a wetland, they need to be paying attention to the fact that they're right next to water and they're spraying. And when you are spraying anyway, any chemical, you need to be aware of standing water. I mean, that's the first rule if you have a license. So I think that's one point that we could really, I guess, focus on for a springtime letter. Maybe it's they're
I'm
really
looking at-
busy, but they might see it and they might be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So I'm gonna.
The other issue that comes up is that the letter goes to the owner and then the owner passes the job. And I'm thinking of lawn treatments, because let's face it,
Yeah, yep.
they're in there to mow as fast as they can and get out
Yep.
of there as fast as they can. Because that's what it's like Amazon. They got so much time to make the deliveries, and if they don't, they get docked. So
Yes.
it's a matter of, and the other thing is with fertilization is you say, okay, you fertilize the lawn up to the buffer zone. Well, where's the buffer zone? Okay, well, no, we just fertilize the whole thing. So, but how you reach all those folks that are doing it, I don't know.
It's
I'm sorry.
hard.
I'm just a little frustrated by some contractors after the meeting yesterday because some of them look for any angle too to get out of some of this stuff. So
Yeah, you're totally right.
yeah,
I like Emma's point though, that the residents are on it. I mean, I live
That's
on
good.
a pond and 2 other people have frontage on this pond. And I'm very concerned when I see lawn treatments happening on the other side of the pond. It would help me if I knew they got a letter that I could go over and talk to their lawn professional and say, hey, you can't apply this stuff within 20 feet of the edge of that pond. And if we don't even send the letter, then they can say, no, we don't know anything about it. I mean, I think it's unfair to them to expect them to follow a rule if we didn't help them by telling them that it existed.
I'm looking at the letter right now and it is very nice, flowery. And I understand that people would maybe throw it away, and especially like what you're saying, they're busy, they're trying to get the jobs done and they don't really care about what you're doing. except they want to know if they're breaking the rule or not. Well, hopefully they want to know what the rule is and what not to do. So I think this needs to be rewritten, not in the lens of we're educating the community. It's like Emma said, very direct without being too pushy. But I mean, you work in the township, this is what you need to follow. If you don't, these are the consequences. More information at meridian.mi.us/wetlands. Call it a day. And I do
Well,
like
and we
the
could even
buffer
head it with,
graphic.
yeah, we could head it even with like, if you mow or apply blah, blah, blah in Meridian Township, please read this. I don't know. That's just on
Yeah.
top of my head.
Right, yeah.
But
something,
basically
you know.
starting it, maybe with some important type of lettering, or I don't know, but just saying like, if you do these 2 things, and then again.
This is the law, you will be arrested. No, that might get some attention.
Well,
Well, maybe
that's
it
the
needs to be
thing.
a flyer. Maybe it needs to say like, notice if you work in the township, instead of
There you go.
actually a letter format, like a
See,
flyer
marketing.
notice.
And they can post it on the board in the office where they have their
Yes.
daily meetings. There you go.
Yes. Yeah,
Good
because if
idea,
you
Brandy.
go back,
Thank you.
in our maintenance area back here, they have a board where they post all that kind of stuff, and again, is everybody reading it, and are we making
at
sure
least it's
lead
there.
workers? Yeah, but it is there and they can see it. But I like
Right.
that, Brandy. I think that's
Yeah,
much
that's
more
a good
effective.
idea.
Mhm.
So if
And it's
someone
not
wants to
that
take
we
a stab
can't-
at it, I
Yeah.
can tweak it and make it look like notice. And we don't want like a big old stop sign or anything like stop, but like kind of, it needs to stand out. But we'll do it township branded style, but like getting their attention. So if someone writes the guts of it, we can design it.
Okay, then it begs the question, who's gonna do that? Like, Rob, Emma, like, like who wants to, who wants to do that kind of thing?
I could do
Um,
a rough piece and then Emma can fill in or
Yeah, I
tear
mean,
it apart.
it sounds
And
like
then
you're
fill
busy
in.
too, Rob, though, so I don't want to put more on you. I can do it.
We're all
Um,
busy. It's okay, Emma. If I just get the information, I can do it. I just don't know what to say.
Okay,
I'll put some
will-
stuff down and I'll send it to you, Emma. I'll send it to you and to Brandy, and then you guys
Okay,
can see
sounds
what
good.
you like,
And
don't like, and use whatever.
Okay.
we'll all kind of hone in on it, okay? And then, yeah,
Yeah.
Brandy, you can make it look important and awesome. So, okay, well, thank you so much, Rob, for helping so much with that.
Right.
Does
Yeah,
doing it on a
amazing.
Google, does doing it on a Google document hurt or hinder or help the situation? Because I took our wetland letter, I customized it for landscaping. It obviously needs tweaking it. I love the idea of a notice format, but I could take some of the ideas here, and you could add yours or subtract pieces from the Google document.
I mean,
You have any
yeah,
thoughts on that?
That's fine.
That would be a great idea, but basically, I think the basic gist is this, like, you can't mow in it and you can't put fertilizer in it, right? Is there anything else to it that they need to know? I mean, it's just those 2 basic things. isn't
Yeah, I
it?
really think it's
Well, you
just
can't
that
dump.
aspect.
Oh, sorry,
You
Bill,
also
go ahead.
can't dump.
And you can't dump.
Oh, right. So like no landscape litter.
Yeah.
I guess, is there
Oh.
anything else we want? I mean, because that's the main point I was thinking of hitting on. And I think that's really all they need to know.
Is
But
there anything in the language of the ordinance itself that needs to be cited or?
well, there
Wouldn't
is the
hurt.
buffer ordinance
Mhm.
that we
So
could.
water feature, yeah, water feature buffer ordinance. So, in the 20-foot natural vegetation buffer, Meridian Township, you can't mow, can't put pesticides, you can't put any chemicals, can't dump trash.
You could
Or-
say there is a
or
wetland
waste.
ordinance, there is a buffer ordinance. Are there any other ordinances that tie to those 2 that they should know about?
It's called the water, it's a wetland ordinance and it's a water feature ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and I can send those to you, Brandy, if you want to, but I think then we don't have to spend time breaking it down, it's just those three things right there, isn't it? Like, that's, and that's only, it's something easy to remember. Don't we
You
think?
can't spray pesticides in that buffer zone either, right?
Right, yeah.
That's
no
correct.
chemical.
Okay.
Or I think, and in the brochure, they listed my number because that's, like in the township, I can go in and, treat invasives and stuff in there. But that's the other thing that I didn't really put on the agenda, but there's some buffers that we need to take care of as a township, I think, before we branch out too much, where we need to make sure we're upholding our own happy ordinance around buffers. So
Do we want to say something like, we're putting together a list of contractors who do natural landscaping or design, as a way to sort of support the contractors that are doing good things? Or is that too much?
I guess my question is, how do you decide who's doing good things?
Good question. Well,
I think,
any contractor can do good things. I mean, can plant native plants. So I think part of it is getting the people to understand what to ask for from their contractors, and where they can get it. And so that's sort of the intent of the latest fact sheet that I've been working on.
I think
I
as
think
far as trying to bring any, or trying to support any landscapers, or I guess make a connection with them, the main thing would be, are you using native plants? I mean, that's just something that we need to be able to identify landscapers who are able to fulfill that niche in our township. I mean, that's really the rarity is, because there's even landscapers that they will plant native, but they're still planting a host of other, species that aren't really beneficial. So I don't know if that's the right call, if we want to add that into that notice. I don't know if that's necessarily
That sounds good,
necessarily the
separate.
place for it, but
Right. It sounds like it's a separate thing to me. I think that we just need maybe the three things that we kind of talked about there, and then maybe make it for, because these first threes are not, these are things you need to follow. Then the next one's like, we'd like you to plant native. It's not required that they plant native, but the other few things are required. So I don't feel as simple and clear as possible might be the easiest way to go. And then we can.
Yeah, I
go
think the
another-
1-page notice type of thing, and then you can always say, see the website for individuals who are selling seeds, plants, and design type of things with natives. And then maybe in the fall, when something a little more extensive goes out, the resource list could be put in there as well.
Sounds good.
So do we have a sense, Brandy, do you have a sense of what to write, or do you need Rob or Emma to do that? Or are we pretty clear about it now, or?
Yeah,
do we
I'm
need-
good. I'm good. Emma, if you
You're
want to
good?
send me anything, go for it. But from what you just said, I will take a stab at it.
yeah, and if
And-
you want to just send me what you come up with, and and I think the letter, the resident letter, has a lot of those good lines in it, at least, and we can tweak it, but I think really just as straightforward as possible. And yeah.
And where do we get the list? Where do we get the list? Do we go through the Landscaping Association or the Michigan Landscape Industry Association for that? Or because we can get them by zip code through those associations.
Right. Yeah.
I can work on trying to get that list unless someone has it handy, but
There's a lot of, if you have, I don't know, I haven't talked to anybody from Kelma recently, the Capital Area Landscape Nursery Association, but they have a group of members, but there's a lot of folks that are not members of Kelma that are members of the statewide association. And what I would do, the MNLA breaks their groups up into parts of the state. So there's Kelma, then there's the Grand Rapids Association, then there's, the Southwest Michigan Association, there's the Detroit Association. So I think, if you use the Kelma group to mail to, And then I believe, I don't know what state, whether DNR or whoever, one of them's got another list. You know, you could get the pesticide applicators a copy of that list too.
Yeah,
which
that's
might
kind of what I
be
was thinking.
good for us
Yeah.
to target. Because, you know, they get a little spray happy sometimes, and
Well,
you have to
in
keep an
the
eye on them.
the invasive contractors I worked with were based out of Perry. They did a lot of work over here in the township. So that's another thing. How far do we,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, how far do you go?
how far do we go out? I mean, we don't want to go too far out, but at least knowing that there's, you know, they do our Phragmites treatment and they're based over there. So
Should at least go 30 feet.
yeah, depending on how big the wetland is. What, Rob, you said Kalna? How do you spell that?
It's just a capital area landscape nursery
Oh,
association,
That makes sense.
CALNA. And they're probably one of the smallest chapters. MNLA calls them chapters around the state. But, you know, because obviously the Grand Rapids has two chapter groups, and Detroit's got, I don't know, 3 or 4. But that's for mid-Michigan. Kalna's for mid-Michigan. And then, yeah, that probably would be good for now. But like I say, they don't have, a lot of the other contractors are not members of Kalna. And so how we reach those, I would, like I say, that pesticide applicator license group might be
Yeah.
a better way, especially if we're trying to target lawn spraying and pesticide and whatever else.
Right. Well, and again, it's because it's a good issue with being a license holder to hit on, is that, you know, standing water. I mean, whenever you see standing water, that should be like a red flag in your head anyway.
Right.
So kind of being able to, yeah. Okay. Brandy, do you think that adding that little buffer diagram from the letter is helpful? Does anyone think that little visual would be helpful? I mean, obviously it's not going to teach them about wetland buffers completely, but I don't know.
I mean, we can see what it looks like and if it fits with how you want the notice to be. My question was, when do you want this notice by? When do you plan to send this?
Is tomorrow okay?
I was gonna say, if you can have it done, if it's reasonable by the end of the week, I could have Rebecca fold and get all the labels ready and everything. She comes in on Tuesday afternoons.
Okay.
So I could have her send them out early the next week if that works with your timeline. But
I'm always busy. We'll make it work.
I know. It's like, what are you gonna push back now to do?
I'm like, I'm in the middle of a magazine. Like I'm
Yeah.
reading and writing and yes, I can put something together by Friday.
Okay, and just let me know if you need help or any wordage or anything.
Okay.
Really appreciate it, Brandy, because it really is. I know it's hard, but like, you know, this time of year, people are already putting the chemicals on there. So really grateful for your help. Okay,
Brandy, when does the
anything else
magazine have to be done?
Well, sending it to the printer tomorrow. So we are
Oh,
finally
see?
done today. Yes. And hopefully getting the proof back by the end of the week so it can hit homes in April soon.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Is that a nice segue into the magazine then, Brandy?
Yes. So because this is an annual publication instead of a quarterly or twice a year for the magazine, it's more, we want to give the basics in print. So for the people who are non-digital can get a sense of what's happening in the township and things that carry on throughout most of the year, as well as we're adding QR codes throughout the magazine to direct people back to the website for people who are technically savvy and want to get more information. So just want to let you know, we're using large pictures, smaller description, so not like a full page of text, because people do not read it anyways, and people are very visual for the most part. So I have a 2-page spread, and it is a beautiful picture of a wetland. I was going to ask Emma and everyone, I have received pictures from all of you. So we picked one for like the main feature. And then the second, so it's basically an introduction to wetlands and a native plants, build back the buffer, push. Make sure you're using native plants in your gardens and in your landscape. So that is the message. Leroy, you'll be happy to hear the page does share a little segment about solar. So it's like all sustainability type information. But here, I don't know if you can see this, but this is not the text completely, but this is a draft of a beautiful wetland. And then if you have a better picture, let me know. We have until tomorrow if you want a different picture. And then there's going to be a picture in the center that will have a native garden. And I think, Betty, I think it's one of the pictures you sent me that I was going to put there. And then this section is going to be a little smaller, and it's going to be about solar. And then directing people to find all green, environmental friendly information. A QR code will be in the bottom to Green Meridian, where the wetlands page, solar, all those pages kind of live. So not a ton of information, but it's a nice big old picture of a wetland, and build back the buffer will be very large, and to encourage people to plant native plants.
It looks great. And I actually kind of like that there's a little less information, because it's like, oh, if I do go to the wetlands website, the web page, there's so much on there, and they might not even have looked at that before, but they want to find out more, and then they're getting put onto a page that has a ton of information on wetlands and the ordinance. So I think that's great, and I love the picture too. I like that it's not a traditional looking wetland, and it's also Davis Foster, which is one of, you know, our most loved preserves. So I think it looks
Good,
great.
thank you.
Can I see the picture again? Is it the one I sent?
I'm not sure.
I think it is the one you sent, Kendra.
It is the one I sent.
And then Betty, I think a landscape picture, one of yours or someone's that you sent us has a beautiful landscape in their yard that we're using as the smaller picture to encourage.
Yeah, that is he did such a fantastic job. And you know, he also went out and removed invasives in that public wetland behind him. I mean, man's amazing.
Is that Jim's buffer?
Yes.
Oh, that is such a beautiful, meticulous, that's like what all of them should look like. There's so many amazing native species in there.
Well, I'm glad you are pleased, because I was like, well, we have to put wetlands in this magazine. This is our whole year-long campaign. So obviously this is just a draft. Andrea is vigorously working next door to finalize everything so we can look it over before we send it to the printer for the proof.
Great work, Brandy.
Thank you.
And everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Super excited. Thank you. So does that bring us up to our showcase? Is that the last one?
Yes. Yes. So I don't know if we want to take like the brochure or some of the snapshots of, I mean, I feel like I'm doing an art project, but this would be really cool for the lobby to have like the wetland campaign. Maybe I take some of the pages from the magazine and kind of blow them up maybe and add to it from the brochure. So if there's anything that you think is important or beautiful pictures that you've already sent me some, but I'm sure there's more that you may want to incorporate in like a collage looking thing for the lobby. And it's right across from the treasurer's office. So especially as voters gear up to come into the building and people paying taxes, it's going to be a really visible area. So I just want to get your input on what kind of things you want in there. But like I said, I could work off of what we're doing in the magazine and the brochure that was already previously done and kind of pull pieces, but I want to get everyone's thoughts on that.
Is this going to be like an evolving, but still kind of a wetland area, or does it not matter?
No,
Because I think it down the road, or maybe when we get some demonstration buffers under our belt, or when we get more on our buffer plans, it would be almost cool. I'm like imagining like in elementary school when you have the boards.
Yes.
But to actually have like a wetland buffer, like diagram almost. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we're talking about zones and stuff, and kind of having like snapshot pictures of plants that could go there. That's down the road. I think intro, or like as far as like getting something up there right now, I think going from the magazine spread would be good, and it's kind of like getting everybody aware sort of thing.
I like your calendar. That's sort of like what are some of the events happening, and that could be blown up. Also, we could have some pictures of the Green Grant projects at the library, Oklahoma's Public Montessori, Radmore, and Hazlet Community Church. They're going to be all planting native gardens.
Okay, just send me pictures. Like you said, I'm sure I can't take over that display forever, but I just thought it's empty and we might as well use it for something. But yeah, so if you have any pictures or ideas, let me know. I'm gonna get the magazine out and this notice and all this other stuff done first, but it's on the back of my mind that this display is sitting empty and we should utilize it.
You
Those
want
flowers.
or just plants like frogs and toads and great blue herons?
Whatever you want to send me, more the merrier, because I could use it for other stuff too.
Wetland critters would be cool because they're the other charismatic piece besides plants, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because like I have pictures of, obviously butterflies and different, damselflies and stuff like that. But I know Jim Harding's got pictures of turtles and all of that kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, I think it helps to have the critters too. So I was imagining maybe having the picture, and then, we can also have our, our demonstration areas. I think that makes a ton of sense too, but also the critters. That's how I was imagining, because the theme of this is wetlands, right? The whole theme of this one is going to be wetlands. So, okay, fantastic. That'd be a good idea. So I don't know that all the Green Grant folks will meet criteria for that then if it's just wetlands, but they're doing native planting, but not necessarily wetlands. So I'm not sure that those will be the right ones, but I like the idea of having our buffer, like our, the buffer projects as they kind of go along. So what's the timeline on that, Brandy?
It's just empty, and unless anyone takes it, I think it's really just ours. And Michelle has the key, our executive assistant for our township manager. And I said, we had a Black History Month panels out there, and from our 175th anniversary, and we've been kind of utilizing it as like a seasonal type or what kind of information. Before that, it was the trails map that was really outdated, and it was out there for a really long time. So it's really up to you guys. I mean, as we get into spring, maybe this is the time to put something out, maybe by the end of the month or so.
Okay. So we'll gather pictures and get it to you by the end of the month. Fair
Yes,
enough.
that would be great.
Okay. Betty, did you want to say something? You look like you want to say something. No?
No, I was just making notes so that I'll send some more pictures.
Oh, okay, great. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Is there anything else I'm missing? Do we have anything else as far as agenda goes? I think that was kind of the end of it, right? All right. Fantastic. So when shall we get back together again? So I always like to do a recap. I'm sorry, it's part of my job. So homework assignments. So I feel like Emma's working on a native plant guide. Brandy's going to work on the kind of, the contractor flyer, I suppose. And then we'll be sending plant or pictures for the, what is the name of the thing? For display at the
bulletin board. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that we have that we need to, when should we get back together then? Like a month or so? Or by the end of the month? You want to do it by the end of the month to see what you have for the display? Or what, I mean, what do we feel like the needs are here?
I think I could, personally, I think a meeting in May would be better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Okay.
so much going on.
Fair enough. That's
but
true.
I do, and the other thing is that our Eagle Scout is going to be, him and I are going to be doing a lot of legwork on the demonstration buffer for Central Park and just figuring out how the heck that is going to go and start. and be planned out. And he is going to present at the Park Commission meeting in May, which will be May 11th, I think. So by that time we'll have a proposal for the project. So I'm just thinking around that time would probably be good so that we can talk about our first buffer plan. Because him and I are gonna kind of bring this all together and do the legwork to plan that out. And so we'll
Hey,
actually
Emma.
have some meets to talk about.
Hey, Emma, can we document this process? Because I know Sam was gonna get with you on doing, we wanted to do that wetland mini series for home TV. We
Mhm.
wanted to do videos with you. Maybe this is one of the kickoff type things of like this developing of a buffer.
Yeah, well, because you probably all know that weird icky mucky spot by Central Park South Pond that is just gross. And that's what we want to, that's what me and Ethan are going to go out and find out is how big of an area can we plant? What kind of funding do we have? What can we really do?
I'm
He's gonna-
volunteering Sam to go with you in boots
Yeah.
and videotape you, investigate what this should be. So I think
Yeah.
this process, like she should go with you, or I should have
Yeah.
intern go with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great opportunity because it's going to be one of our first, educational buffers, really. So,
Yeah.
Well, This is
Big-
Ethan
big deal.
Olds that you're working with, Emma?
yes.
Oh, great. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he wanted to plant trees and I was like, we planted like over 400 trees last year and we're wanting to plant a lot of native plants. So what do you think about this project? And he was like very excited. So he's going to work with me, but I'm going to make him do some legwork too and call, Vern and Bill and pick their brains and everything. So
Excellent.
So
what do you think?
May 10th or 17th for the next meeting?
Yeah, what are you thinking, Emma?
the 10th works better for me if that works for anyone else or everyone
That
else.
sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, if you can.
Okay, so we're
I
gonna do
believe the Great Lakes Water Infrastructure Conference is May 10 and 11.
That's gonna be easiest for you guys, obviously, but if it's broken at that point, then we'll have to.
Huh.
Then we'll actually have to chisel it. Out of there.
We could meet the 17th, but I can't. Probably, I'd have to meet earlier than 3.
I can do earlier as long as I just have it and if I know in advance. So
And then same thing, though, I mean, if you would.
Is
And
anyone,
let me know.
doesn't have to be on
is anyone going to that conference? I mean,
of what the plan is.
otherwise we could just go to the 10th.
I don't have it on my calendar.
Where is that conference, Bill?
I put it in the chat. I just put it onto my calendar without doing a lot of research on it as a
Oh, okay.
placeholder. So there is a URL in that chat link that should take you there.
Okay, thanks.
Virtual.
Okay, yep, I'll be around. Give it a call.
It's virtual.
I have to head out. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Just let
thank
me know
you,
on the
Bree.
next meeting and I'll be working on this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck on the magazine, finishing it up.
Thank you. Bye.
all right, so what do we want to plan on the 10th at 3? Then I don't know how long that goes. What is that conference about? I don't know about this conference.
It looks like it's 8:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to be available on the 10th. So if we want to, we could just meet at 3:30. I don't know if that's late for people.
3:30 is fine
That's
with me.
Paige was the one who suggested at 3, but since she's not here, she doesn't get to decide, but
Okay.
want to just do 3:30 for now and
Let's do
maybe 10?
yeah.
3:30 on the
Sounds good.
10th. Fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic work, everyone. This is exciting. We'll
Yes.
see you next time. All right. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.